Crawford Pirates playoff football is presented by Central National Bank. Tom Nesbitt and Central National Bank's own Brian Fonville on the Twin Bends Realty pregame show. Crawford and Hawley kick off at 7 o'clock and will play for a spot in the state championship game. Our interview with Crawford Pirates head coach Greg Jacobs is sponsored by Hometown Construction and Design, which constructs custom-built homes. From the design of the floor plan to the completed project, call them at 254-229-0006 or check them out on Facebook, Hometown Construction and Design. Hey, Coach Jacobs, what a win over Tolar, 14-7. A really, really good football team and just a gutty performance by your team. What stood out to you?
Just the effort they portrayed throughout that whole game. They played as hard as I've ever seen them play. They were so committed, so determined. We finished up the first half, went in at locker room, and it took 3 or 4 minutes for them just to catch their breath and get themselves situated. That break right there really helped going into the second half. And then when we gained some momentum there, then they really just took off. So they played well. I was really proud of their effort, their dedication, throughout the week, paid off, their hard work, their commitment. So couldn't ask for a better response from a bunch of kids because they played hard.
Let me ask you about that, what happened at halftime, Coach. Your team dominated really the first half. I mean, you had 195 first half yards to Tolar's 80. But you had 2 turnovers on drives when you had driven into their territory that really kept it a 1-score game. It felt kind of like you'd left some points on the board in the first half. What was the mood in the locker room at half, and what did you emphasize with your team coming out of that second half locker room?
Well, in big games like that, there's going to be situations that don't work out always like you expect it to. In the first half, those 2 opportunities we missed out on was something that I didn't really dwell on. I was more focused on their effort into the second half. It was going to take a large amount of effort in the second half. So that's what we really encouraged the kids to really get themselves focused for a very hard fought second half. Just get their minds right, basically. And so, we didn't harp much on the missed opportunities. We looked at what's ahead of us, the second half. What do we need to do to finish this thing out? How hard do we got to play? Obviously was one thing that we preached, but, we had a few wrinkles here or there that we talked about, discussed, but outside of that, that was pretty much it.
Well, that effort was certainly on display when you came out and started that second half. Tolar got the ball to start the half. You force them to go 3 and out, and then your offense goes 60 yards on 11 plays, score on the Cameron Walker run, and then the Torbert to Balgiano 2-point conversion, and you got to score a 14-0. You really couldn't have drawn it up any better, could you?
No, when I came out the second half, I wanted to kick with the wind and try to pin them as deep as I could and hope that we could force them to go 3 and out, and then get the ball hopefully in good field position, and then mount a drive during the third quarter with the wind and try to go up 2 scores. And I thought if we could do that, then we have a good opportunity. And we were fortunate we were able to do that.
Hey, Coach, after Big Peyton Brown finally broke free for just really one big run, and that was the touchdown that cut the score to 14-7 with about 9.5 minutes to play. I got to admit, sitting in the press box, I've seen these kind of games before where the mindset is, oh no, we've missed our chance to put these guys away and a lead vanishes. But your team just doesn't seem to have that kind of mindset, because what you then did is you took the kickoff after their biggest and really only big play of the game, and you go 73 yards. You take 8 minutes off the clock. You have 2 huge third downs and a 4th down conversion along the way. I wonder if when this story this season is written, whether a scoring drive a long drive that did not result in points may go down as this team's finest hour. Do you see it that way?
Well, they're just, when they face adversity this year, they're very resilient. They seem to respond very well. And, we've talked and preached about dealing with adversity since day one, since the first week of the regular season. At some point in time, we're going to have to deal with an adverse situation. How are we going to handle it? And so those are things that we worked on, and really harped on and tried to deal with during the course of the year. And as we went along, they seemed to be able to handle situations that didn't go their way pretty well. And I think that all goes back to the confidence they had in each other. They knew what type of commitment each one of them had on the field. And so they weren't going to let each other down. And I think that really plays in big to this season.
Coach, you talked about when things don't go your way. I heard you in an interview after the game talking about, I think that 4th and 2 or 4th and goal from the 2. I think you said I took my shot, they took theirs. Mm-hmm. And I'm not sitting here second guessing the decision because I think I would have done the same thing. But I am just curious, was there any part of you that considered for a moment attempting a field goal in that situation?
Oh, you're talking about when we were down there on the goal line?
Yes, sir.
Well, I have a lot of confidence in the kids that play, and I believe in them, especially those on offense, because they know what's working and what's not. And so I approached them and asked them, I said, what do you think we can do? And they were pretty unified in what they wanted to do. They thought they could, it didn't turn out. And the only reason I considered that was because they were out of timeouts at that time. And so if we didn't score, they were going to have to go the length of the field. And I had enough confidence in our defense. I thought we could, hold them out. So if they'd have had a timeout left, we'd have definitely kicked the field goal. But I wanted to give those kids an opportunity because they were, they worked their tails off the whole game. I wanted them to have some pride and say, I had something to do with this decision. And, it didn't work out. Sometimes that happens. But to their credit, they got down to business defensively, and we bent, but we didn't break. So couldn't be more proud.
No doubt. Go ahead, Brian.
I was going to say, you talked about the confidence in your defense. You didn't have any timeouts either.
No.
But your guys have been in some tight games before. How much do you think that experience helped in those final frenetic moments when Tolar's, trying to make things happen very quickly?
Well, I think they need to understand, and I think during the process of this year and really through the culmination of 3 years with these seniors, they've gone through a lot of situations over a 3-year period. And so they understood the situation, especially in the back end. They had no timeouts. They could run the ball, but if we minimize the amount of yards gained, we could keep burning clock. And at some point in time, they were going to have to throw the ball. And so that's what I said. I picked my choice. They picked their choice. It matched up, and we got the pick. And that team changed the whole complexion of the ball game. So they were aware of the situation. They gotta throw the ball at some point in time, and they got to get out of bounds to stop the clock. So obviously the route's going to the sideline. So Luke jumped that route and picked it, and that was a big play.
He told the Waco Trib he was there because that's where his coaches told him to be. I thought that was really, really a classy answer for him.
Yeah. We took a chance, and it paid off.
Hey, we're talking with Crawford Pirates head coach Greg Jacobs, a 7:00 kickoff, the state semifinal against Hawley coming right ahead. Hey, coach, this semifinal matchup with Hawley seems like it might give you a bit of deja vu from 2020. Like that post game in the state semifinals, you will face a team that last year played in the state championship game, didn't win the state championship game, and returns a bunch of key players who want to finish the game. What are your biggest challenges facing this Hawley team?
Well, to begin with, they're very well coached. They're very experienced. Got a number of seniors on this ball club that have been through, a long, successful year last year. They know what it takes to get to a championship game, and plus they're just littered with skill players all over the field. Offensively, their quarterback to their running back to all their wideout, all 4 wideouts are talented. 2 of them, one 6'2", the other 6'3". Quarterback can spin the ball. The running back's big and physical. He's very good, and their offensive line is good too. So there's not a lot of weaknesses on their offense, and defensively, they're pretty simple in what they do. They're very sound at what they do, and there's not a lot of room for error for them because they know what they're doing. So It's a challenge for us. I think we match up with them in certain areas with our athletic ability and some of our skill. And it's like I said last week, we're going to have to win some one-on-one situations, and it's going to come down to that Thursday night. And we hopefully, we'll take advantage of those opportunities and make something happen.
Hey, Coach, thank you for your time. We really appreciate it, and good luck in the state semifinals.
All right, I appreciate it. Thank you.
You've been listening to the Coaches Interview, sponsored by Hometown Construction and Design. More of the pregame show, a 7:00 kickoff. Crawford and Hawley play for a spot in the state finals. Star 104.9 FM.